Well, day one of the Land Rover Burghley Horse Trials 2022 delivered even more than it promised. But as the weekend builds, the buzz grows, the anticipation becomes more fevered, and everybody is just that little bit more excited about what really is a wonderful event. This is today at Burghley, and this is what's coming up. I'll go behind the scenes with a true Burghley legend, William Fox Pitt. Tina Cook brings you all the highlights in depth of the final part of the dressage phase. And I'll be joined by a very special guest, Olympic dressage legend, Carl Hester. But first, we've been sending our reporter Rosie Tapner to all the parts where other reporters can't reach this week. And today she meets a young, very talented event rider enjoying her first experience of Burghley Horse Trials.
Well, I'm here with Danny Dunn, a first-timer at Burghley. Danny, it's so great to have you here. Thank you for having us here by your lorry. It's such a nice setup.
Yes, thank you so much. We're very excited to have obviously arrived, settled in, and we've actually done our dressage. So a very happy team at the moment.
Well, your dressage, a PB.
As any rider will probably say, you dream of riding at these 5 stars, Badminton and Burghley particularly. And it does hit you very hard that you have made it. When I cantered through the archway into the main arena on Grand Slam, the horse I'm riding here, that was definitely a big moment, definitely. And I actually saw all my support crew. I have the most amazing team around me here, all on the side, and I did feel almost a bit emotional, but it was very quickly got myself together because I had a lot to do after that second, but it was very special.
We've got the cross country coming up. What are your feelings towards that? You bought the course.
Gosh, yes.
How are you feeling?
Being my first Burghley, I am a bit terrified.
I mean, personally, I think you're crazy.
I am quite terrified, but yes, no, it is exciting, and the track is clearly beautifully presented. It's stunning, absolutely stunning, and it's massive. Yeah, massive. And
he's a good jumper,
looking forward to tackling it. He is. He is a seriously good jumper, and when we first bought him 6 years ago, that was my goal. I always thought he'd be my first Burghley horse. So again, just very special to be here, and we're very close to that Saturday now. So I really hope I can show everyone what he is really capable of, because that's what I believe he can do. A correctly fitted saddle is incredibly important. The dressage saddle is all to do with making sure the horse is clearly comfortable and feels free and able to move his shoulder, as well as I need to be able to sit up and feel comfortable and have a good posture.
Your saddles are different to some of the saddles that I've seen because they're very thin.
So yes, and they're much lighter than they would have probably been not long ago. And then monos, so there is no extra flaps, and it's all built in. This is for my own knee, and the knee roll is nice and big because I prefer that, so it's a personal preference, and a nice deep seat here. But I think you'll see when you see a jump saddle how different the style of the saddles are. These are customised for Grand Slam. So this is the jump saddle, which is more forward cut, and clearly when you see it next to the dressage saddle, the dressage saddle is straight at the front, and this has got the forward cut because our stirrups will be shorter to do the big jumps, and you need a different type of angle in your position when you're in the jumping position.
Amazing. Well, listen, like I said earlier, your enthusiasm is just brilliant, and it just seems like a childhood dream for you to be here.
Oh, it definitely is.
And
definitely
riding.
But hopefully I'll be back many more times, but we're
absolutely.
looking forward to hopefully finishing off the week successfully.
Danny, you've been amazing. Massive good luck. I'll be rooting for you all the way.
Thank you, Rosie.
Well, there was a close call between me and Rosie, who got to come down and talk to 6-time Burghley champion William Fox Pitt. But William, we worked out that Rosie hadn't actually been born when you won the first one, so that disqualified her from the role, unfortunately for you.
Slightly doesn't remember those days. It was a slightly long time ago, wasn't it?
1994.
1994,
Jarka.
yeah, with Jarka. I'd ridden around here before in 1990. I'd had my first go round. It was my second Burghley, and I didn't know any different. I had a nice horse, and it all went to plan.
I know you've not exactly been famous for having much fear during your career, but when you're that young and completely unencumbered, do you just come and think, well, this is what I do?
It's quite nice, isn't it, to remember those days when you just thought, this is what I do, and nothing was going to go wrong anyway, so just jump the jumps and do your best. Now as we get slightly older, you start imagining all the things that could and would and might happen, and can end up taking a long time.
Tell me about your first impressions of the place, of the atmosphere of the place, when you sort of first come to an event of this standing.
Yeah, when you first come to Burghley, it is hard to believe. I mean, the stature of it and the standing up in the park and with the whole village of trade stands, and you suddenly realise how enormous it is. And the backdrop of the house is just fantastic. So you feel good. You feel good to be here. And what's nice actually is we take us away down here. We're in our own little environment down here. We're camping as we normally do on our lorries. Horses are in tented stabling. Everything down here could be a nice normal event. So you're actually quite going through those gates. You're going to think, but down here, time out.
The horse you're riding this year, Oratorio, it's another great story, bred out of a thoroughbred mare that nobody really had any great plans for at the time.
Yes, it's quite a funny story, because we were actually, ironically, we were doing some point-to-point training in those days, so we were training his mother, and she wasn't a very good racehorse, and the lovely owner, Richard Jenks, said, well, what am I going to do with her? I don't want to breed a thoroughbred because she's too slow. So decided, why don't we breed a part bred? And he said, well, actually, I've got a share in Oslo. You got some semen from Oslo, was a good horse that I used to ride at 5-star level. So we said, well, here's the semen, that's free. And he said, well, we'll give it a go. And first foal, out he comes, and has ended up back with me again. And I've got the same owners who owned Oslo, and it's all very much in the family. It's quite nice to feel some crossovers. Having trained the mare, you can see a few personality traits and characteristics that are coming through and what he's dealing with.
What is it about the sport now, as distinct from, say, 10, 20, 30 years ago, that gives you the biggest kick?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's still the whole journey of the target of a big event, aiming for a Badminton and Burghley. It really gets you in that mould. It gives you that drive. It gives you that get up and go. You know, there are amazing riders that have won Burghley, and it's a real honour to be part of that team. And it's really exciting for me now, because I'm one of the oldest riders here. Pippa and I think, are looking quite senior. And you look at the young riders coming on, and you're excited for them, and you can really appreciate what they're now entering into. And really, with our sport changing so much, which it has in my time, it's going to change in their time. They have to realise how lucky we all are to be in places like this.
And what's the biggest difference in the sport? What's the single biggest difference for you?
Well, the single biggest difference is it's now what they call short format. So we don't have the rows and tracks and the steeplechase. So the demands are very different. They're in other ways greater in the cross country and what's asked of horses, but we don't have that physical endurance duress which we used to just think was part of the sport. Some of these young guys, they have no idea what we used to do. You used to be out there and you'd be planning when you were getting off and resting the horse, you're planning when you were cantering, and you all had your minute markers up and down your arm, and you knew exactly what you were doing when. It was quite a little science. There's a lot about the sport that I miss, but there's a lot about the sport that I really appreciate and enjoy, and the new challenges. And I think it's great to have had that, to have made changes and have to improve. And we've had to change our horses, we've had to change our training and our feeding and our whole program. So we've had to make a little adaptations to how it's become, which has of course been fun.
What do you want out of this year's Burghley?
Well, I want to be competitive. I want to have a clear round tomorrow. I want it to go well. Of course, I'm still competitive. I know that I'm not in those top echelons anymore, and I'm quite relaxed about that, but I still think that I could be, and I'm riding a lovely horse and his galloping machine. I mean, today, sadly, the dressage has been a little bit below par. He can do a very good test, and he didn't. He got a bit shy of the crowd, so we've thrown away a few marks. So I'm clawing back from a little bit further down than I dreamt. But if he jumps well tomorrow, I would like a good performance, and I'd like him. We will say I'd like to finish on my dressage score. And if I did that, he could be in with a sniff. He's not going to win it now, but you never know. I mean, I want to go well. I think I'm riding a horse that's a real Burghley horse. I wouldn't be here just to have a canter round. I've done a few of that, and I'm too old for that. But I want to get out there and have a go and not look like an idiot.
Try not to look like an idiot. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Always good to catch up with the ever-popular William Fox Pitt, a real great here at Burghley. Now, still to come on today at Burghley, Tina Cook takes you through all the highlights of the second day of the dressage phase. Rosie Tapner meets the winners of the Du Barry-sponsored Young Event Horse competition, and I'll be joined a little later by Carl Hester.
It is not a machine, though the precision of its mechanics can draw some admiration. Propelled by a unique movement, graced with a singular drive, it has a personality of its own. It was born from a special bond. Crafted over years with infinite patience and utmost care. Listening to every tick, going over every move again and again to build a trust like no other. The kind of trust that allows you to push further, higher, always. The kind of trust that can transcend any challenge.
Boodles, a family story. I think there's something really, really special about something that can be passed on, live and tell a tale to the next generation. So when you wear my mother's pieces, I get to tell you the story behind that, and you get a little piece of them and their history.
You're watching Today at Burghley, and now it's time to join Tina Cook to take you through today's dressage highlights.
Despite a drizzly start to the day, the crowds were still out in force and were treated to world-class dressage displays from the off. Leading the charge, New Zealand's Tim Price and Vitali.
And Tim, no stranger to success here either. Won here back in 2018 with the wonderful Ringwood Skyboy.
Having 3 horses here is a massive effort. You can see him slightly rolling his eyes and looking around, but he's walking in a soft way. He's just dropping. I mean, Tim has actually let go of the reins a little bit more than probably what you'd need to, but for this horse to keep him walking, that will get the marks, because the judges will be looking at the overtrack of where his hind feet step over the front print. As you can see, he's got a nice loose walk. He's shown a difference between the extended and the medium walk, which is really quite difficult to do sometimes with a horse that is on the bright side. But what I'm looking at the moment, you know, the horse is he's bright, but he's keeping a nice outline. He's very athletic. He's being very accurate. To me, when I'm watching, I think this is all going to be jolly close.
That was a proper final halt as well from the FEI World number 2, Tim Price. Vitali getting us underway here on day 2.
Wow, look about 21.3. You know, it looked good, and that doesn't surprise me at all.
Mere moments later, opening his Burghley campaign, it was world number 1, Oliver Townend, on the first of his 2 rides, Tregilder.
Tregilder has been at this level before. He's a horse that, you know, he's a good-looking horse, as you can see, and you know, can actually nail quite some good tests, and he's got off with a 9 for his holt, and that's a great start. Oh, just resting a hind leg and a touch early, so that's a bit unfortunate. He's been good in his outline, but just every now and then he'll sort of drop down slightly behind the vertical. Oh, no, that wasn't a very good change. The horse was a little bit slow off his leg. He asked for the change, and the front end worked, but the hind legs forgot.
Well, a lot of very, very good marks are still coming in for Oliver Townend and Tregilder, and he looks pretty happy with that. He's a perfectionist as always. And at 27.5, so a very good score goes into 5th for Oliver Townend.
Come the afternoon session, the sun was out and the competition was about to hot up, with Kitty King hoping to make it 4 female Brits in the top 6.
This is an opportunity to be riding a world-class horse at this event and actually show everybody really what he's made of, because he is beautiful, he looks fantastic, he's got scope, he's careful, he's a very good mover, and Kitty is very smart at this level. She knows what she's doing. She's produced some super tests in the past, and you can see the amount of training that has gone into this horse. You know, he knows exactly what she's asking of him. They're really getting the marks. Well done, Kit. That was, you know, it was a super test, and it was very consistent, and that was the one thing I would say, is that the marks are very, very consistent from start to finish. And, you know, she was rewarded there with a 9 and an 8.5. See what the marks are towards the end. This is all going to be very, very close, and my goodness, it's going to make it exciting tomorrow.
She's close, and she is in front. 21.2, 75, 83, 77 are the 3 judges' scores. Look at that reaction. This is how much it means. We talked about maybe the disappointment of Bertoni. That's gone now.
So after the second dressage session, these are the overall standings. In the lead, we have Kitty King riding Vendredi Beats on 21.2. In second place, Tim Price riding Vitali on 21.3. In third place, Sarah Bullimore riding Kurue on 22.5. With Oliver Townend, the last to go of the day, with Swallow Springs doing a super test to finish in 5th. Rosalind Cantor riding Pencos Round Jewel in 6th on 24.2. Tom McEwen on CHF Coolizer on 25.6.
So we are all set up perfectly for the cross-country phase of this competition, every frame of which you can see with us here on Burghley TV tomorrow, Saturday. But there's so much more going on around the grounds during the course of the few days here, including the final of the Dubarry Young Event Horse competition, which, of course, Rosie Tapner's been following.
Well, we've just come to the conclusion of the 5-year-old Dubarry Young Event Horses, and our winner here is Robin Gray. Huge congratulations. What a result for you. Just talk us through it.
No, he was brilliant. I couldn't have faulted the horse. It's a huge atmosphere here, and the courses are always built very friendly because they know they're young horses, and it's a good educational round. So we were just hoping to come and have a very educational round and the horses to enjoy it and to win. It's just, yeah, top 10 would have been amazing, but to win it's just, yeah, incredible.
It's fantastic, and it's a particularly special result as well, because actually Nicola Wilson's mum owns the horse.
Yeah, and she bred him. So Nicola's mum owns the mare, and Nicola rode the mare. So yeah, it's a really lovely story, and it's really nice we can sort of bring some good news to Nicola. And I think she's watching on the TV. So, and yeah, she's been really supportive throughout the last few months with the young horses, and they're just a credit to her. She produced them as 4-year-olds, and she's got a great eye for them all, and they're all lovely horses, and yeah, very lucky and privileged to be sat on them, really.
Well, it must be great for her for you to be riding them and keeping the horses going.
Yeah, we're all just sort of keeping our spirits up, and she's doing amazingly well, and yeah, all the horses are sort of enjoying themselves, and yeah, they're going really well. So,
well, congratulations to you, a winner here today. But what next for the horse?
He's going to Osberton, the 5-year-old finals for the eventing. He just loves the game. He absolutely the atmosphere actually rose to the occasion, and he loved it. And when the crowd were clapping at the end, he just had his ears pricked. And well, he's got quite a big ego, and we don't want to give him a bigger head than he is. But no, he loved it. He just loves it.
Well, listen, huge congratulations, Robin. You've thoroughly deserved it. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, the conclusion of the De Barry Young event horse 4-year-old class is Piggy March, the winner with Cupid March. Piggy, that must be incredibly satisfying, bred at March Stud as well.
I know, how cool is that really? It's always great to have a horse in this class and do well in it, but it definitely has a different feel because we've obviously bred him. It's a very new venture that we're going on. It's actually nothing to do with me. It's totally my husband Tom's idea and his investment, and I just nod and sometimes get on at the right times of I was like, I am not doing this one, because he's obviously a stallion. I have no experience with stallions and everything, but he's been such a sweet horse to do that, and he's a beautiful horse to ride, that I was like, okay, I'm happy, so it makes it all definitely way more special.
Absolutely, and in the middle of Burghley as well. Just a word on Veneer Chimera tomorrow for the cross country. How are you feeling?
Well, a bit scared at the minute, to be honest, and a bit excited. We're back at Burghley. We missed being at Burghley for a few years. I'm just hoping that she loves it as much as she's always loved being at Burghley. She was 14 when she's last here. She was 17 now. She's not a spring chicken anymore. All I hope is that she just has. We all have a good day's sport, but she comes back with a smile on her face and finishes the competition fit and well is all I can ask for. But no, we're excited to get going.
Well done today, and very good luck for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it is all change here at Burghley after day 2 of the dressage phase. Here we were a day ago, and we were talking to Sarah Bullimore and Piggy March, and there was just 0.1 of a penalty between them. We wondered whether they would still be here at the end of day 2. No, and the answer came very quickly with the first round. Vitali, Tim Price, who is here, and then Tim predicted that Kitty King might be the one to beat, and so it proved. Kitty 1 point ahead of Tim. Now, Tim, be honest. Were you trying to put the mockers on her?
Absolutely not. I mean, yeah, we're out here to try and look after ourselves and everyone else. It's a dangerous enough sport without doing that sort of thing. But no, I thought, what have you got to do? A 21 or something on the flat. I thought that was pretty good and probably good enough, but obviously not.
I think we were all pretty convinced that you had the lead in the bag at that point. But Kitty, you came out today with huge determination. How proud are you of Vondrady Biat this afternoon?
I'm so proud of him. He really stayed with me. He produced what he can do at home in the arena, which is rare. We normally kind of have a bit of tension or a little mistake here or there, but he really stayed with me and he produced what I know he can do. And I was extremely proud of him, and it's just a lovely way to ride him. He just felt brilliant and really on side.
Now, Carl Hester is with us, needs absolutely no introduction. If you were going to analyse a dressage day, there is no better person for the job. Carl, how impressed were you with the overall standard over the last couple of days?
I've been suitably impressed, to say the least. I mean, it has been incredible riding. When you're I've just come back from the World Games watching, Grand Prix dressage, but these guys actually can really show some dressage riders how to do these extended paces. They've been fantastic. I've seen both of these guys test. You wouldn't be able to pick between them who would be in the lead. I think Tim's just being very gentlemanly and giving it to Kitty, but their tests were really good. And good dressage, it's got to be harmonious, got to be nice to watch, but it also has to have risk taking. And these two took risks when they rode, and that means that they go for maximum in everything they do, and that is why they're at the top of the leaderboard.
That's quite interesting. I've never heard anybody frame it quite like that in dressage before. So you've got to have a certain boldness, a certain aggression to the way you approach it.
Okay, yeah. So for instance, like if you read a dressage test, it says, for instance, their first movement, C turn right, MXK extended trot. So that means, when you hit M, you start your extension and it goes all the way to K. That is taking a risk because that's actually more room that you might make a mistake in. The riders that were getting the 7s and 7.5s, they turn, they start slowly, they get the best bit in the middle and then they dribble away at the end. So that is not bringing the 8s, 9s and 10s, which these guys were getting. So that is taking a risk in dressage, but it mustn't look like that because then you're spoiling the harmony. You're still supposed to sit there, look like you're doing nothing, but the horse is going with more power.
How hard, Kitty, do you have to work on this phase compared to how hard you have to train cross-country and show jumping?
To be honest, with this horse, probably equal measures. He's not always the most straightforward. He's very talented in all three phases, but he can be cheeky in the dressage. He can be cheeky cross-country. So his show jump is probably actually his easiest phase. He's a super jumper and very careful. So that side, normally he that looks after himself, but the cross country do have to do a lot of work just to keep him listening and on side and focused. He finds it probably a bit easy and his brain wanders and he loses concentration, so he's going to have to really be focused tomorrow and really listening to me and on his kind of A game. But yeah, he's a lovely horse and he's a real character.
And are you enjoying that feeling of going into the cross-country phase on top? Do you feel emboldened by it rather than humbled by it?
I don't know. I've never really been in this position before. Normally I kind of work my way up the leaderboard, which, you kind of don't have so much to lose. But to be honest, we're here to prove a point, and it's great to be in this position, and, we'll be doing our best to stay here.
You've made no secret of this. Just for those who've just tuned in, just subscribed to Burghley TV, or indeed just landed from Mars, just tell us what's been happening with you over the last month or two.
My main aim since the European Championships last year was to try and get selected for the World Games in a couple of weeks' time, and unfortunately we missed that spot. Then we were first reserve, so we're here to prove that we deserved a chance out there, and the horse has been brilliant today, and hope we can keep it going through the weekend.
Are you someone who is motivated by adversity like that? Does it have a positive effect on you?
When I wasn't put in the team at the Le Moulin European Championships, I finished best Brit, so
yes, I think is the answer. Tim, you had 3 rides over the course of the event. Have they finished their dressage in the order that you anticipated, and are the margins you anticipated?
Firstly, can I just mention that she's very understated there. She's been in this position many times in the lead. She's a very fierce, dogged competitor as Kitty, and I expect her to be out there at the end of the next couple of days as well.
Well, thanks, Tim.
No, my guys, Vitali is a very classy, talented horse in the dressage in particular. He's an athlete through and through, but he's also a bit zany, so I'm very happy that I've been able to get the best out of him today, and it's a good start point, and it's also a good omen for where he is mentally for the next 2 phases. Polystar, disappointed. He's a very classy horse, beautifully produced and campaigned by Christopher Burton, so I feel like I've let him down a little bit, but then again, he's an older horse I've been looking after for this competition, so he's come here quite fresh, and the atmosphere got to him a little bit, and it just was not the start point I was looking for with him. And my very first one, I've done these all back to front, but my very first one yesterday in the first of the competition was Bango. He's a great horse, an old campaigner of mine. I've been around numerous 5 stars many times here, enough times here to know what he's like, so he's a great one to get started on, and he's one to watch. I think he could finish close to his dressage score, which is a nice bit of confidence for me.
Feels like an eternity since we were last here at Burghley. Tim, how does it feel to be back?
It does, yeah. Well, 3 years, and it's been so frustrating each year as you hear the news it's not happening again, for reasons we all know, and this year finally we're here again. It's my most favourite event personally, and so exciting to walk the course and see the strong challenge. But yeah, once you get here, it feels like I haven't been away, to be honest. It's like, business as usual, and let's get going.
We were talking a little bit about this earlier, Carl, when we were wrapping up the dressage. There is something about these big eventing venues that other equestrian disciplines don't really get to enjoy. Do you look on it with a bit of envy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just to bring a dressage horse here to be able to ride in this atmosphere would train it. It would bring it on another notch, because you don't have those opportunities. You're arriving at championships, expected to do your best and produce your horse at your best, and sometimes your horse is unrideable because it's only experiencing this situation once in a blue moon. So I'm very envious, but I mean, they are actually doing it as a competition today, and just as we heard there, one horse accepted the atmosphere and one was affected by it, and that does happen. So more training like this would be amazing, but I'm not quite sure we certainly wouldn't produce this number of people if we were just doing a dressage show, that's for sure.
But we're now, hours after the event, and still 20, 30, 40 deep all the way back to the bars here. People having a fantastic time. It's going to be even bigger. There's going to be a huge buzz tomorrow, Kitty. When you look at that cross-country course, and I know you're off to go and walk it again.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you make of it this year?
It's very like a CIC, the short format event. So the first kind of 4 or 5 minutes, the fences come up really thick and fast. You're twisting and turning. There's lots of combinations with lots of elements to them. So I think the horses are going to be a little bit shell-shocked to start with. So I've just really got to focus on keeping them in a good rhythm, keeping them really focused. And it's big, it's challenging, and we've got plenty to do.
Any surprises, Tim?
No, it's very Burghley-esque. I think Derek de Grazia has done a good job at keeping the theme of what we've come to expect here.
So he's a kind of continuity candidate?
No, I think he's... In saying that, he's also put his stamp. There's a couple of things that I think we have to watch. Dairy Mound coming down off the Dairy Mound, a blue oxer after that, which is scratching my head as to how the horses might jump it. But it's it's a challenge, and that's what we come here for. And I think it will be just what we expect, very exciting and exhilarating, and the leaderboard will change.
And just you look at that course, Carl.
Yeah,
At no point any year when you walk out there do you think, oh yeah, this is going to be a walk in the park. It's formidable.
I mean, I can't even walk in the park. I mean, it's just, it's always one of those things, unless you go and stand up next to a fence, you have no idea of the height, the size, the width, the difficulty. I mean, just, taking the whole course in is rather mind-blowing. I mean, how these guys, they have to look at it 4 times before they go. But I mean, it is, it's awesome, and I admire their bravery hugely when I see any of those fences.
Do you really call it bravery?
Stupidity.
Yeah, all your stupidity, but knowing you both, I know you're not stupid. So, no, it's a brave horse and rider that goes around there.
Yes, it's extraordinary how event riders can combine that apparent intelligence and extreme insanity. But that's the reason we love the sport. Kitty, good luck.
Thank you very much.
As you head into cross-country phase in the lead by just 0.1 from Tim. Tim, all the best to you with all 3 horses as well. Carl, thanks so much for joining us. Just a recap then of the leaderboard. Kitty leads going into the cross-country phase on Vendredi Biat for Great Britain on 21.2. Tim with Vitali for New Zealand, 21.3. Then Sarah Bullimore and Piggy March, to whom we spoke yesterday. Then Oliver Townend on Swallow Springs. His test was going well. One error just knocked him down to 5th. Ross Cantor in 6th. Tom McEwen 7. Pippa Funnell 8. Oliver Townend 9. And Bobby Upton doing best of the first timers at the moment for Great Britain in 10th. Don't forget, we will be back here on Today at Burghley tomorrow, same time, same place at 8 o'clock, and our coverage tomorrow, every frame of the cross country you'll be able to see live with us on Burghley TV from 11 o'clock, with the first competitor going half an hour after that. All going swimmingly so far and bubbling up to be a fabulous competition. Best of luck to all the competitors tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. That was day 2. This has been Today at Burghley.
It is not a machine, though the precision of its mechanics can draw some admiration. Propelled by a unique movement, graced with a singular drive, it has a personality of its own. It was born from a special bond. Crafted over years with infinite patience and utmost care, listening to every tick, going over every move again and again to build a trust like no other, the kind of trust that allows you to push further, higher, always, the kind of trust that can transcend any challenge.
Boodles, a family story. I think there's something really, really special about something that can be passed on, live and tell a tale to the next generation. So when you wear my mother's pieces, I get to tell you the story behind that, and you get a little piece of them and their history.